Welcome, new and old friends. My name is 242, and before we start, I'd like to say thank you. We are at over 100 subscribers on YouTube and over 500 downloads on my podcast. That's amazing. So I want to make something special for both of these milestones. So keep in tune for that. But today is about malicious compliance, and I have 5 stories. If you want to see where I get my stories from, links are either in the show notes or the description box. Now, grab yourself a tea or coffee. Things are about to get interesting. 90s Throwback for My Mom by Annoying Mouseketeer 90. So, this is my mom's story that she literally just told me. When I was about 5, I got chickenpox. No big deal for me. I barely noticed and just had a fun week home from school playing Power Rangers. My mom, however, realized at the age of 33, she had never had the chickenpox, and she was pretty sure I had now given it to her. She was right. She found what I think they refer to as the leading spot. So she called her manager at work. She works at Tesco, a big supermarket chain in the UK, and told her that, although she felt fine, she was pretty sure she had the pox. Her manager, let's call her Karen for reasons that will become obvious, says tersely, "If you feel fine, come in for work then." So, in my mom goes. She spends hours sitting at the checkout, scanning items and handling money until a supervisor from the bakery department happens to wander by and physically recoils as he sees that my mom now has visible spots manifesting on her arms and neck. Supervisor, you have chickenpox. Mom? Yep. Supervisor, why the hell are you here? Mom, I told Karen, but she told me to come in anyway. Supervisor went straight to Karen and demanded she let my mother go home. Obviously pissed at being tattled on and having her stupid actions be made apparent to other coworkers, Karen tried to take it out on my mom in some small way by demanding she get a doctor's note. So, my mom went straight from work to the doctor, who told her, confused, that she could have just stayed home for a week, maybe even only a few days. She didn't need to see a doctor for chickenpox. Well, when my mom told him her manager had demanded a doctor's note, he said, fine, and signed her off from work for 2 weeks, right before Christmas. My thoughts. Now, please remember that this was back in the 90s. Things were a little bit different all those years ago, and this is a great malicious compliance, and Karen really paid for it. I understand that the mom did put some people at risk, but at the same time, the other option was she could have lost her job over this. People have been fired for less things I know of. So great malicious compliance, and I'm very happy the mom's okay, and she got 2 weeks off just before Christmas. That's awesome. You want me to update you on my progress? Enjoy an email with dumb questions every few minutes. By Anonymous. I work for an awful mental health support agency and was injured by a client at work in June and was on worker cover for 12 months. I recently tried to go back but found my mental health really declined due to the toxic workplace and upper management not caring about anything other than money. Last week, I was on a Zoom meeting and juggling my 3-year-old at the same time, but trying my best. After said Zoom meeting, my manager's manager called my personal phone and gave me an informal warning because I wasn't smiling. She told me it would become a formal one if you can't present yourself as an enthusiastic team member. Manager then promptly reassigned me to be directly under her, taking me away from my team and any contact with anyone other than her. Yesterday, I missed one call while in the bathroom, and she sent me a long email about her role versus my role, etc., telling me basically what a plebe I am, and said my injury wasn't that bad and people have been assaulted more seriously, have come back much faster because they bully us if we don't return. Now, she needs to know my progress and whereabouts every day, even though I'm currently on a 10-hour contract on admin duties. Q. Compliance. She is now receiving emails every 8 to 10 minutes about what I'm doing in my work, including if I'm taking a toilet break, what program I'm using, who I just spoke to, as well as questions like, I know your email said you'd like me to contact all staff, but I just need to clarify. You want everyone to receive it, etc., etc. She stopped responding by 11 a.m. and would like to resign me back to my original boss by next week. My thoughts. What a great compliance. You want to know where I am, what I'm doing? Here you go. I'll tell you every step I take, every move I make. 'Cause, you're watching me anyways. Great one, OP. Really enjoyed that story. At closing time, I'm still the manager, by Lurdy Fox. So I was 19 at the time and a shift supervisor at a local sub shop, Planet Sub. This was my first supervisor/managerial position, and for how shy and generally insecure I was at the time, I'm amazed I had the gall to do this. To be fair, it had been a long day, and I had a second job that would give me more hours if I wanted. I was in charge of closing the store, and I had a couple of staff call in, leaving me and 2 workers to deal with a busy night of sandwiches, pissy, and entitled customers. And no breaks, save for the quick restroom ones. The store closed at 10, and we were for sure going to be shutting that thing down a millisecond after 10. Clean as fast as we could and be free. All of us had school/class the next day early. Around 9:30, I answered the phone to a terse gentleman demanding to know when we closed, because he needed to pick up sandwiches. I told him we shut the doors at 10, so he would have to be quick, and I offered to take his order over the phone so he could just pay when he gets here. He said he would have to look at our menu and rudely asked how he would have any idea what he wanted without seeing our menu. I replied I had no idea if it was his first or 5th time here. He scoffed and said he'd be here by soon, before 10. I kept going on about work as we all got the closing and cleaning things done ahead of time that we could. As 10 p.m. neared, I kept glancing out the front door to see if he was there. But nope. Once 10 p.m. hit, we got going on what we need to finish. Food covered, stored in the walk-in, counters cleaned, etc. There were a few people finishing up eating in the lobby, but they looked almost done. At 10:15, an irate voice called into the kitchen asking, "Is there anyone working here? I would like to place my order." I walked out and behind the counter told him we closed 15 minutes ago and the kitchen was shut down. I called a half an hour ago, and I was told I could come get food still. That you were still open, he stated. That was me you spoke to, and at 9:45, not 30 minutes ago to be precise, we were open, and I informed you that we closed at 10. It is now 10:15. We are closed, I politely replied. There were people still eating, so you're clearly open, he gestured to the people putting on their coats and walking towards the door. Politely and with a force of friendly smile, I said, they had put their order in before 10 and just finished. The oven is turned off. The food is put away. I don't fudging care. Make me food, he spurted. Sir, I cannot do that, I replied. We are closed. Everything is put away and the registers are shut down for the night. We open at 8 a.m. tomorrow. I demand to speak to the manager right now, he hollered. At this moment, folks, I had a moment of clarity that I did not want to take this in the slightest, and I wanted to be as sarcastic and an immature prick. I did not get paid enough for this, and I was fed up with the day. One moment, I will get him, I said politely with a genuine smile. I then turned around, removed my hat and apron, hung them on the hood, and turned back around to face him, stating, Hi, I'm Jeff. I'm the manager tonight. I heard crackles of laughter from the other employees in the back, who had been listening to all of it. I am calling tomorrow for the store manager, and you will all be fired, he stated as he stormed out. His name is Sean. Have a good night, I shouted after him. He should be here by 7. He turned around at the door. You have lost a very valuable customer. This is my last time I'm coming here. Thank God for that, I said as he stepped out, turning around to flip me off on his way out. I then quickly locked the door and made sure he left. I called my manager and he just laughed at it. He was a cool guy, total stoner who was laid back. The guy never did come back, but he gave me a delightful memory and story. My thoughts. I don't know what it is about these kind of stories, but they always make me laugh and smile. I just love when customers basically have to put their foot in their mouths. What a moron for you knew they closed at 10, you showed up afterwards. They're not making you stuff. They want to go home. So great one, OP. Really enjoyed it. You want my job now? I'll hold you to it. Setting the stage. This story takes place in the summer of 2020. I joined my boyfriend on a camping trip to the woods, planning to relax while he worked. We both work in tree removal, but I didn't have a current project. I accidentally got a job as an admin support for my boyfriend's boss after hanging around the office one day and giving Excel tips. He didn't know what Control+F did. At first, I helped with the building's spreadsheets, reports, and sending emails for him. Every day he asked for a new task of me, and every day I did it well. Eventually, I had developed a schedule and even included running programs to check for mistakes, while I took calls to increase productivity. My boss, owner of the company, decided he had nothing to do with me there, so he went home. Different state and different time zone. And I ran things. There was about 3 months of this. I didn't really hear from him except for the occasional, "How much money did we make this week?" or "Has anyone told you you're doing a great job?" I'm a very modest person, so believe me when I say I was great at this job. Nothing got by me. I kept everything organized and always knew where to find any kind of information I needed. A few weeks into the 4th month, and my boss came back and brought his family. His wife would hang around the office and watch me like a hawk. If I took too long of a bathroom breaks or doodled while on conference calls, she would tell me that I was on company time. And honestly, I didn't mind much. She was very nice a lot of the time, and I'm pretty easygoing. During a stand down, my boyfriend and I went home and were having dinner with his family when my boss's wife called. She was angry from the start of the call. "Where is ex-employee's paperwork?" I told her it was scanned and in the locked folder in our company's file. Walked her calmly through how to find it. She then yelled at me for not organizing files. Like I said, I always knew exactly where everything was. Everything she asked for, I told her where to find just off the top of my head. She demanded that due to my incompetence, she wanted to organize all the files from now on because that was her job and this was her company. I was a bit upset but didn't let her know and apologized for any mistakes. Remember, she and her husband had not been present or in much contact for months. Malicious compliance. Following this call, every file, paper scrap or receipt, etc., that needed filing I sent to her in an email stating that it needed filing. She eventually told me I didn't need to send her everything and to just file it. I didn't want to jeopardize the company or create issue by misfiling, and that it was important to me that she did her job so she could be present in her company. She hated filing. I don't know why she did what she did, but I never let her get out of that hole she dug. My thoughts. So I don't get why this woman flipped at one point. Your employee's telling you exactly how everything's filed, how exactly to get to it. Maybe she didn't like the fact that it wasn't how she liked it. Well, I'm sorry to tell you this, but now you're going to have to do it yourself. I really enjoyed this story, and I'm happy OP found a job that they're really good at, and now they get to be a little malicious compliant in how their boss's wife wanted things done. Technically, Mr. Principal, I'm following the rules. By I Malad Ricktome. This was a few years ago. I was a senior in high school. At the time, an 18-year-old male. I was a major smart butt and very nihilistic due to my past. For a little context, I have an IEP at my school that allowed me to use my phone for music therapy, since I was diagnosed with severe depression, anxiety, Asperger's syndrome, and PTSD. By law, teachers had to follow without question or overruling, and if anyone tried to stop me, they could get fined, fired, etc. The IEPs are no jokes for a reason. My senior year, the old principal resigned and we got Sergeant Hardbutt in his place. Starting out, he changed absolutely everything and was very strict with it. I'm assuming to assert dominance to show he's no pushover. One of the biggest changes was zero tolerance to digital devices in or out of classrooms. That included everything from phones, Bluetooth earbuds, headphones, smartwatches, etc. Teachers loved it until they figured out that it was also applied to them. So they said hoop it and didn't enforce it. Though, trying to listen to music in between classrooms was like trying to smuggle a bomb onto a post-9/11 plane. I had a lot of the same teachers from years before, so they knew my story and I was a good student, but I had a sense of humor and hard-headed, and they knew I could find a loophole in anything to get my way or prove my point. It all started with a very bad Monday morning. I was on the edge as I always was at school, and decide to listen to some hard-hitting, brutal death metal. It's therapeutic. I got stopped by Sergeant Hardbutt, and this is what took place. Principal.
Are you new here?
Me. No. Why? Principal.
Okay, give me your phone now.
Me. I can't. I have in my paper. Principal.
I don't care. According to the handbook, no MP3 players, phones, any digital devices at all. I'm a man of my word, so hand it over.
At this point, I can feel my anxiety rising. My hands were shaking. My eyes were getting warm and watery, and I couldn't breathe. I need to get out of there quickly before I bursted. The office was far from where my emergency anxiety meds, and I wasn't going to make it, so I tried to walk to the bathroom till the principal yelled,
"Hey!"
and forcibly grabbed my shoulder like a Karen. So, as an irrational reaction, I turned and right hooked him. He went down to the ground and everyone was laughing and going crazy about it, so I just booked it and ran. Thankfully, my favorite teacher, Mr. Place, managed to catch me and embrace me to calm down. I ended up passing out in his arms due to hyperventilating. After regaining consciousness in the nurse's office, there were a few cops, Mr. Place, my mom, and the principal, with an ice pack on his chin and a bloody towel over his nose. I was questioned on exactly what happened, and after hearing my side, Mr. Place's side, and the camera footage, everyone sided with me, and my mom went ballistic because she busted her butt to get me comfortable in school, and she had had a few altercations with teachers harassing me. Unsurprisingly, I got a week's suspension, but I wasn't punished at home. I decided to follow his rules, but with my own little twist. I studied the student handbook front to cover, and went for a quick gander in the basement of my house to find my dad's things from the 80s and 90s. Dad and I shared a lot of interests, and he got me into all types of heavy metal and punk from a young age, so he passed this stuff down to me. After digging around, I was able to find his Walkman, cassette player, and a bunch of cassette tapes. I took my favorites of all time: Kill 'Em All by Metallica, Valgar Display of Power by Pantera, Korn's first album, 40 Ounces to Freedom and self-titled album by Sublime, and lastly, Tomb of the Mutilated by Cannibal Corpse. It was a hard choice, but I didn't want them to crack in my pocket. The first day I was back into school, I was the talk of the school because I laid out the principal. I'm embarrassed and felt bad about it, but it was in the past. I saw Sergeant Hardbutt by my first class, Mr. Place's class, so I stepped to the side and popped in a cassette tape. Walking back, Sergeant Hardbutt smirked and told me to step over to have a talk. Principal.
Looks like a week didn't give you enough time to think. Come with me.
Me. I'm sorry? I'm not breaking any rules. Principal.
Boy, don't make me out to be stupid. You obviously have your phone and are listening to music. Last time I checked, my policy is still in effect.
Me. Right, so technically I'm following your policy of no digital devices. Principal.
Fine then. Want to play smart? Prove it then.
I proceed to pull out my Walkman and some of the cassettes. He looks very confused. Me. See, sir, you said no digital device. I have right here is a Walkman with the original wired headphones. Since cassettes are analog and you never said anything about no analog devices, I'm within my full right to jam out on this in and out of the classroom. Sergeant Hardbutt gets red in his face and starts stumbling over his words to rebuttal. Me. I mean, you say you're a man of your word. So how cowardly would you look if you let a teenager get to you and update your handbook? I see no harm with this. It abides with your rules. Sergeant Hardbutt grunts, then walks to the neighboring class as I exhale in relief and I start to feel my anxiety go down. I walk in and nod to Mr. Place. He closes the door and makes sure Sergeant Hardbutt isn't nearby and just bursts out laughing. I'd say I stood my ground on that one. My thoughts. I really did enjoy this story, really good. I'm just upset with this principal who couldn't just dig a little more deeper into the one student that hit them, find out their name, find out their record, see if they're more trouble, and oh look, they've got something on their record saying they're allowed to listen to music. I get it. In high school, I listened to music. It helped me with a few things as well. Not diagnosed with anything. And I'm really happy OP is no longer in this school and is done. And happier and doing better. Did you enjoy these stories? What do you think of them? Tell me down below. I love to hear from you. And as I said before, I have a podcast and the name is on the screen. It should be on all popular podcast players, and there is a link down below as well. Make sure you're subscribed. I don't want you to miss this spooky, scary Sunday. There is a part 2 to that Mall Santa story, and I will be reading it. I hope you have a good day.